Now, this is one of the big stories of the day. South Africa's joined the list of countries who've exited the Financial Action Task Force grey list today. FATF President Elisa Madrazo made the announcement following a plenary session held in Paris this week. South Africa has been working systematically since February 2023 to fix the 22 action items flagged by the FATF when the country was added to the list of countries not fully compliant with global anti-money laundering standards.
A record of 4 countries have been removed from the grey list. This is the list of countries under increased monitoring, the so-called grey list. The countries are Burkina Faso, Mozambique, Nigeria, and South Africa. Some of the actions taken by these jurisdictions include, in the case of South Africa, they have sharpened the tools to detect money laundering and terrorist financing. Nigeria now has a stronger interagency coordination. Mozambique has improved financial intelligence sharing, and Burkina Faso has enhanced financial oversight of financial institutions and gatekeepers. These are just some of the ways in which these countries have worked hard to close the loopholes that criminals seek to exploit and to clean up their economies. It is the result of sustained efforts across authorities and also supported by the global network community, including the FATF-style regional bodies, SABC in the East and South Africa region, and GIABA in Western Africa. Under the Africa Joint Group, regional leaders take a collaborative approach to share advice and to assess their efforts to address strategic deficiencies in their defense against financial crime.
Danie Dörfling is Head of Governance at Moore Infinity. He joins us now for more on that. Good evening and thank you for joining us on Late Edition.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Now, what key governance reforms have contributed to South Africa's exit from that grey listing?
It's essentially the 22 actions and action items that the FATF or FATF have instituted in terms of South Africa, but also the 11 effective immediate outcomes, essentially. So that not only shows the regulatory statutes that have been passed, but also the actual bite of the prosecutorial and the legal entities within the South African context, like the FIC and the NPA.
Now, how might this delisting impact compliance requirements for South African businesses in the coming months, or is this already been put in place?
So I believe that South African compliance is not going to necessarily change. The institution of beneficial ownership, the institution of enhanced due diligence, KYC, is not going to change overnight. And the infrastructure is set up to do so is not going to be alleviated overnight. So the cost and the cost burden to society is not going to be eradicated overnight, but it is obviously going to be gradually phased out. We're one of phased out. We're one of the country with the most expensive remittances in the world at 13 to 20% of the actual capital value, and that is about, the international average is about 7%. So hopefully we'll see about 2 to 4% decreases in remittance cost because of the decrease in stringent compliance burdens.
Now, from a governance perspective, what lessons can be learnt from the grey listing process to prevent future risks?
I think it's about instituting the recommendations and keeping beneficial ownership data as clean as possible. If we just look at today's removal of South Africa from the FATF grey list, it's fundamentally about institutional governance restoration. It's about the reversal of state capture's deliberate weakening of our financial crime institutions. And what we've accomplished in the last 2.5 years wasn't just technical compliance. We rebuilt 3 critically damaged government institutions, the Hawks, the National Prosecuting Authority, and the Financial Intelligence Center. And the FATF's July assessment obviously confirmed what matters most, that South African institutions now have general prosecutorial independence, that financial intelligence drive investigations free from political interference, and that supervisors can enforce compliance without being compromised by captured officials. So for governance, this matters profoundly. It shows that even after state captures damage, democratic institutions can rebuild themselves when when politics align with institutional capacity.
Am I correct in saying that South Africa was added to that grey list in 2023?
That's correct. That was after a mutual evaluation of both the FATF and South Africa that showed that we were deficient in 20 of the 40 recommendations by the FATF.
Are you surprised that it took so long, considering what was happening in the country? At the time, I'm talking about when we were grey-listed.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it, understood. I think it is surprising that it took so long, but since 2019, there was already, rather 2021, there was already a mutual investigation and evaluation of the country where we already were found insufficient in many of these recommendation areas. So to me, it wasn't a surprise. Maybe we could have been grey-listed earlier, but I think that 2023 was the right call, and I think it spurred us to action to really change our institutional systems.
Now that South Africa has been removed from that grey list, how does that boost investor confidence in the country?
Well, I mean, from a credit rating point of view, obviously it's not going to be a silver bullet. It's not going to change our credit rating from Moody's or Fitch overnight. But what the IMF has said is that there's about a 7.6% outflow of capital in portfolio and other FDI flows when a country is grey-listed. So it's essentially the effect of about 60,000 jobs that were lost during the grey-listing period because of a decrease in FDI and portfolio inflow. So that, I mean, significantly affected South Africans in a variety of ways. And I think in terms of investor sentiment, it again isn't a silver bullet, but it's definitely an enhancement and an improvement of where we are in terms of international sentiment and potential foreign direct investment.
I appreciate your time this evening. Obviously, such an interesting topic. We could chat about that the whole night. But time is running out, so we're going to have to say goodbye to Danie Dörfling, who's the Head of Governance at Muir Infinity.